And the reason this is important, church, and for those of us who been in the church our whole life, those of us who got good religion, those of us who are skilled and knowledgeable in the laws of the church, those of us who are educated and can put our verbs and nouns together, those of us can write a good writ, and those of us who got a nice little sum of change. We fail to forget sometimes that no one is beyond hope. Oh, help me somebody. We fail to realize that no one is beyond the hope. And I'm sure that most people, when we look at this text, most people in Capernaum had given up on Matthew. Oh, help me somebody. The good religious people of the city snubbed him as they passed by and wrote him off as a lost cause. But Jesus, however, oh, help me somebody, knew that his life could be salvaged. And I need us to understand that folk in our community, we have to get to a point that we believe that their lives can be salvaged. See, he loved Matthew, Jesus did, in spite of his past, in spite of his problems. He delivered Matthew from the bondage of his sins, and he gave him a new life. No one is beyond the reach of our redeeming Lord. Said, no one is beyond hope. But listen also, Jesus knows how to reach your wayward loved ones. Oh, help me somebody, because we go to church all our life. We never miss a Sunday. But there's folk in our family we know that need Jesus. And I need somebody to know that God can change and reach our wayward loved ones. See, Matthew's parents did not know how to reach their son. They had done the best they could in raising him, and now they feel helpless to save him. They may have even given up all hope. Amen. Easy to give up hope, especially when you don't know what hope is. He was making money. Very powerful. He is a tax collector. Oh, help me somebody. He had the full weight of the Roman Empire behind him. He was like some of us sometimes. I don't know. We don't have nobody in our church. I don't know. But you have the full weight of the city government behind you. You have the full weight of a university behind you. You come in and say the church needs sidewalks. Oh, help me somebody. Church gets sidewalks. He had the full weight of the Roman government behind him. They had no way to get his attention. Jesus, however, knew where he was. And he knew how to reach Matthew. He knows how to reach you. One word from the master, and Matthew's life was changed forever. See, the Lord knows where your lost loved ones are and what it will take to reach them. Never give up. Yeah. In his time and in his own way, he will touch them for his glory. This text also shows that Jesus sees the hidden potential in the lives of the least. Oh, help me somebody. You got to realize that Jesus sees the hidden potential that's in the lives of the least. Oh, help me somebody. And what I'm trying to get us to understand is that we have to begin to see with Jesus' eyes. We have to begin to see that person that's dealing with drugs, that that's something else that can happen in their life if we would believe in the transforming power of Jesus Christ. If Jesus sees the hidden potential, oh, help me somebody, when I didn't see it myself, there was somebody in my life that was able to speak something in my life. There was somebody that saw the hidden potential in my life. And if the truth of the matter is with some of us, we're sitting here because somebody saw something hidden in your life. But we categorize it. And that's what Jesus was trying to move us from. He was trying to move us from just seeing the tax collector. He was trying to move us from just seeing the sinner. Yeah. And we need to do the same. Your struggle might not be the same as someone addicted to drugs. Your struggle might not be the same as someone that's homeless. But I know you've had a struggle. Oh, help me somebody. Oh, help me somebody. I know you have a struggle. No, I can't. You might have had struggle getting through school. You might have a struggle with your money. You might have some type of struggle where God had to come in and fix it for you. Save a seat for the least. I declare the least are coming. The least are coming. And we have to prepare for the least. And the way you prepare for the least is to remember you once was the least. Oh, help me somebody. So that's why you got to move out the way. You're comparing struggles. No, you might not have been on drugs, but you might have had another problem. Oh, help me somebody. Let me move on. Listen. Jesus saw something in Matthew that no one else could see. This man would be given a new name after he was saved. He would now become known as Matthew. Remember, he was known as Levi before. Amen. And now Jesus gives him a new name and calls him Matthew. He will be a faithful follower of Jesus. He would write this gospel. All the religious training in the Old Testament would come in handy. Amen. And he would give his life for the Lord who saved his soul. And listen, consider where you are today. You are there because he loved you, saved you, and released your hidden potential. See, never forget that, church. Never forget that you are where you are today because he loved you first, because he saved you first, and he released the hidden potential. Oh God, he had to release it no matter how many people tell you how good you are. Until God releases the potential in your life, you can't walk in the goodness of the Lord. You can't walk in his mercy until he releases it in our lives. So help me somebody. It is impossible to know what is happening in the individual's heart. You hear me now? It's impossible to know what's hiding in somebody's heart. It's impossible to know. I get the idea that along with all of Matthew's other problems, he was delusioned and disappointed with his life. When Jesus called him, he did not hesitate, but he left everything to follow Jesus. Oh, help me somebody. The text says Jesus called and he followed. So to me, that tells me that he was waiting on something abnormal to happen in his life. He didn't wait to say, let me close down the office, Jesus. I got to wait till the next shift comes in. The text says Jesus called and he followed. Yeah. Listen. Matthew gave up more to follow Jesus than did the rest of the disciples. I looked at that. I said, ooh. That's right. See, the others could go back. And they did. Oh, help me somebody. You got to get this now. When you really look at it, Matthew gave up the most. He couldn't go back to his job. Oh, help me somebody. Yeah, that's right. Death was waiting on him if we went back to his job. But Matthew made a clean, permanent break with his past. And that's what we need to do if we want to live a life that is sold out for Christ. We got to make a clean break from our past. We got to make a break from our past to where we can't go back no more. I know you want to go back, but you can't go back no more. Oh, help me somebody. Anybody in the house tonight understand what I'm talking about? Matthew made a clean break. Well, like Peter and them, when the things got rough and things got tricky, what Peter and them went back to? They went back to fishing. Oh, help me somebody. Wasn't nowhere for Matthew to go back to. Oh, that's deep now. That ain't the sermon. I'm trying to get off of that, but I'm telling you, Matthew couldn't go back to the tax office. Listen. Couldn't go back to the IRS. Oh, help me somebody. Good job. What did you say? My grandma would say, get you a good job, boy. Amen. I don't know if I got a good job, but seems good at times. Amen. He had a good job, but he couldn't go back to. Jesus called him, and he left. But apparently, listen to this. God has already been working on Matthew's heart before Jesus passed by that day. He probably had heard Jesus preaching. He had heard about the miracles and about the changed lives. He knew that what God had done for others, God could do for him. Yeah. See, when Jesus came calling, Matthew was more than ready to follow. Listen. 3 things, and I'm going to say it real quick. I want this to help us. Listen. The first thing we see, and I want us to get from this text, is that looking at verse 9 and 10, it says, as Jesus passed on from there, he saw a man named Matthew sitting at the tax office. He said to him, follow me. So he arose and followed him. Now it happened as Jesus sat at the table in the house that, behold, many tax collectors and sinners came and sat down with him and his disciples. The first things we have to understand, if we're going to make this clean break from our past, if we're going to make a clean break to our past and bask in the future that God has for us, the first thing Jesus does is that Jesus shows the right thing. Listen, Jesus shows the right thing. In other words, Jesus does the right thing. How do I know he did the right thing? First of all, Jesus was passing by. He saw a man named Matthew. I need somebody to know this morning that Jesus is passing by. He sees you. He knows you. And Jesus said, come follow me. He's still telling us today, come follow me. Who wants to follow Jesus? He says, come follow me. He does the right thing. Church, we have to do the right thing and save a seat for the least. Oh, help me somebody. We got to do the right thing. And listen, we got to save a seat for the least, because look around. The seats are empty. Oh, help me somebody. We got to save a seat for the least. We're saving the seats for the wrong folk. Listen, we saving the seats for the saints. Ooh, I can stay there for a minute. Work your text. No, I'm right, because Jesus is this text and said, I did not come call to the righteous. He said he came for the sinner. So the seats are for the sinners. If you're a saint, you already got a seat. Oh, help me somebody. And if you're a lady in church growth that's going after saints, our job is to go after sinners. Listen, I know I'm right about it because it's in the text. I was taught preach the text. Preach the word. Don't try to preach a new gospel. This ain't nothing new. Now, you might think it's new because I'm trying to get us out of thinking what we're doing is new. But Jesus said that we ought to go after the sinner. The seats are for the sinners. Listen. And I'm going to stay on this saint thing for a minute because we got to get out of our ideal of church growth is going to get somebody else from somebody else's church. That's our form of evangelism. Oh, especially if we hear somebody having problems at their church. Oh, we love that. All we got to do is to get a couple of friends that mad at their pastor and stuff. Oh, boy, come on over to our church. Not even know we're inviting them to problems in our own church. But that's not church growth, y'all. I know I'm right about that's not church growth. And listen, God gave me the title for this sermon simply because not everyone is called to be evangelists. I love how God does this. See, that's why you just save a seat for the least. Now I'm an evangelist. Brother Brown, good, great evangelist. See, we going to go out and go get the folk, but if we bring them in and y'all ain't saved a seat for them, oh, help me somebody. What are they going to say? Y'all got to hear me now. Save a seat for the least. See, and that's, get this now. Let me connect this to something. For this house, particular for this house. Save a seat for the least. That's your reasonable service. That way everybody takes a part. If you just save a seat for the least. That means when you get here on Sunday, you start praying that this seat is for the least. No, Sister So-and-so, you can't sit here today. I'm saving the seat for the least. God's going to send somebody in here that needs a seat.
That's right. My God. My God.
Listen. Jesus shows them the right thing. And he goes after Matthew, tax collector, a sinner. Listen, and the other thing about this is, that's why if you save a seat for the least, look what happens in verse 10. That's why you got to do the right thing, and you got to show the right things. Look, now it happened as Jesus sat at the table in the house. In other words, the sinners was in the house. Matthew was the sinner and the tax collector. Jesus went to that house, right? But then look what else happened. Save a seat for the least. Look what happened. Y'all read it with me. It says that, behold, many tax collectors and sinners came and sat down with him and his disciples. Oh, help me, somebody. That's why you ain't got to worry about church growth. If you make room for the sinner, other sinners will come. And if other sinners will come, then we'll begin to do the work to change the sinner into the saint. But first, saints have to be in the house acting like saints. No, I'm right about it. I know it's hot in here. It's hot to me, too. Listen, look at the text. It was at Matthew's house. Tax collector and sinner. Word got out that Matthew had Jesus in the house. Oh, help me, somebody. So other sinners said, we got to get to Matthew's house.
They cannot go to church.
They can't go to church. They got to go to Matthew's house. And I need you to understand the context in which the Christian community serves. The folk out there on the street can't just go to anybody's house. They getting kicked out the psychiatric house. They getting kicked out of the jailhouse. Can't go to the crack house when your money is low. Can't go to the prostitute's house when you ain't got no money. So they ain't left nowhere else to go but to the God's house. And if we save a seat